Welcome guys, in the last part of the tutorial. This time we will improve the mesh of the finger, giving it a bit more definition and add a different texture to what is already applied. As you can see, our finger is pretty sparse on the details. It has 1,000 of triangles, so we can go crazy. First thing that we are going to improve is the nail. So first things first, let's turn off the armature so it won't be deforming our finger too much. We go to the modifiers. There's one. If you have more than one armature, delete the one that doesn't have object in it, and then turn off this one without deleting it by pressing the I button. Let's zoom onto the finger and press tabulation tab key while having this finger selected. This will take us to the edit mode. Now let's turn on face select. It allows us to select entire faces instead of just triangles like it is by default. And now I'm zooming in using a mouse roll. Select while having shift pressed. I don't know why I can't see the screencast working. Let's try to fix it by changing the size. Yeah, it doesn't really work, but okay, I will tell you the hotkeys I'm pressing while doing it. Okay, so using shift key and right click, I select entire nail. Now I press E key on the keyboard, move mouse a bit above, and press tabulation key again to exit the edit mode. This might have added a bit of definition, more geometry, but we can see the shading is a bit off. Let's go back to the edit mode and let's make this shape a bit more smooth. Just a bit. We shouldn't. The most probable cause of the weird lighting issues is due to low definition of the model, but we'll improve this in a moment. Okay, so I'm basically dragging the verticals to set them a bit smoother. Should be alright. Let's exit edit mode. The finger isn't perfect, but it will do, and it should be fixed with another step we are going to make, which is adding a bit more geometry. Let's go to the modifiers. Let's find the subdivision surface. It basically adds a lot of geometry. For every 4 vertices, it will add 4 more, right? So it's basically doubling it, and we will increase the subdivision count by 1 more and press apply. This makes our finger much nicer, much smoother, but also much denser. And what's most important, it doesn't break the animation. So we have a decent finger geometry working just as intended, while still keeping ourselves inside the limit of what we can bring to the virtual chat. I believe it's 20,000 vertices or polygons, not sure right now. We are at 9,000 triangles, so we are far from the limit, which makes it pretty decent model. Next step will be UV unwrapping. Let's turn off the armature again, not delete, just turn off, so it won't animate or change. Let's now go to the edit mode by pressing tab key, and we need to find the middle of our finger, the middle finger, and select the edge selection. This lets us select an edge, and about this place, this is as much in the middle as you can get, despite it's going a bit skewed here. And now, while having a control pressed, increase the selection. So Control right click to increase the selection, and we are going to follow the line all the way to over here, and let's go here. Alright, now next, or we can stop here. Now Shift Alt and select this one. As you can see, it's selected through our finger, like here, and all around this place. What we are going to do now is to cut through this, or at least show Blender where it should cut when trying to apply the UV unwrapping. The UV maps show Blender how to attach geometry to pixels. So we'll have a 3D model that will be casted to a two-dimensional plane, and then have a pixel map or a texture applied onto it. You can try googling it up. There's a nice article about it on Wikipedia, and it's useful technique used in almost every possible model that you've seen in any game around, including all the models you've seen in the VRChat. So, having selected this cut surface, you press Ctrl E and select Mark Seam. Make sure you are not selecting Mark Sharp. If you do, then repeat the steps by selecting Clear Sharp. Just make Mark Seam. This shows Blender how it will cut the model when trying to apply a texture. Okay, so good so far. Now what we have to do is open another window. We do this by dragging this triangle thingy on the top. If you want, you can drag it again to make more windows, or drag it right to reduce the amount of window. Once you dragged it to right, you can select direction to which it should close. So now we are having two screens. Let's press this button over here and select UV image editor at this one. And in this one, go to the edit mode, press A, and then U. This will generate a new UV map based on our cuts in here. Unwrap, and that's our finger. As you can see, there's this place, which is basically this place. Let's focus on our finger only. Okay, so this roundish place is this, and the rest of the finger is actually this. You can see the nail part in here. So what it did, it's cutting all over here, and then here, and spreading it on a flat surface. You might have had classes, mathematical classes, when you were younger, in which you were doing 3D boxes from a cardboard. This is similar, but other way around. You have a 3D model and you have to show Blender how to cut it to make it out of a cardboard. Now we have to apply a texture. Let's press New. I believe that 1024 pixels should be alright. What we can do is change the color by default. Do not use the default black, but press New One, and let's select color. So happens I have a color. I just copied it from some images over Google that were colors for anime characters. So New, press Color. You can select any color you want, or go to the hex and paste any color you found on the internet. Those numbers represent colors in hexes. So I have a color prepared, pasting it, pressing enter, and forgot to press OK, and one more time, and OK. As you can see, this applied the texture. If we want to see the texture, let's go to the Cycles render. You could do the same in Blender, but I have not been using it for years now. Cycles is renderer to go at the moment. Let's go to Material, Use Nodes, Color, press the dot at the color, select Image Texture, open this dialog, and Untiled 001 is our texture. Let's call it Pink Finger maybe. pinky finger, so we know it by name, it's here. And now to see it inside Blender, we just have to press the material, and here we go. This is a pinkish material we are going to use as a base for our finger. What we could do is change the type of material from diffuse to the emission. Let's find, this gives it even more flat anime-like look, which is default thing in the VRChat. Right now we have a cycles renderer, prepared basic texture which we are going to draw on, and let's start by doing that. Right, we should paint the nail first, maybe a bit. Let's click the model, let's press tabulation key to enter edit mode so we can see it's all here. Now there's the edit mode visible here. Change it to texture paint. What texture paint does is it helps you draw on geometry and saves it on a texture. If you by accident hit this place, you can always bring it back by pressing plus key, and as you can see, you can do everything here. So let's start by choosing a color. I'm going to use a bit redder color, or well, darker for a nail. Let's see. Yep, it's working. I'm changing the view for a moment from material to texture, and as you can see, I can draw just fine. What you can see is that it's applying in layers. Let's increase strength to 100%. We can also increase size by a bit. Let's make it 50. And we drew all over the nail. As we drew, we see that it's filling up texture inside the UV image editor. Obviously you can be as precise as you want. I am not that good at drawing, just showing you this for a completion's sake, to make sure that the tutorial is whole. And here it is, we can fix it a bit more. Perfect. I'm not sure if it's not too pink, but yeah, basically the fingers are a bit more, the nails are a bit more pinkish than the original skin. Now let's add shade. Shade will be a bit more difficult, but not too difficult. I have also prepared a shade color for myself. It's a bit darker, as you can see. And now, what would you want to paint inside the finger for it to be darker? These areas here, right? So I for sure would start with this, and maybe a bit around here. Don't worry, we're not going to break anything. We can repaint it at any moment we want. Okay. And same over here. Yep, it will take a while. Take your time. I will go back to the first color by using this button here, how it's called, sample a color. Okay, so we are going to use a sampler, pick color from here, and try to fix it a bit more. It's easy to miss, but nobody's saying we have to do it in one go, right? We can approach the problem multiple times. Let's reduce this to 20 so it's easier to control. And as you can see, it's not going good. Let me switch hands. I am left-handed by nature, but was using the mouse in the right hand. Okay, and again, let's go with a darker color over here. Go up to this place and up to this place. It's acting weird. Okay. And some more paint. I guess you could use brighter paint, brighter color. It really depends on your needs. I should be happy with this one. And let's fix this one as well. If we need to change color, press this one, go for a picker, pick a color from texture, not from here, because color here is already with shades applied, and it will never be the same as the one on the texture. So it's safer to pick a color from here. Should be right here. And some more over here. Alright, it's quite alright, I guess. It's only a finger after all. Let's turn on the armature and see how it looks in the armature. Yeah, it looks like a bit shaded finger. What else we can do? We can see it's quite sharp. What we can do more is press this one, and for instance use the soften brush. It will soften the colors. Another good thing is smear. Oh, you can see that. It does what it says it does. Helps to move the colors along the geometry nicely. We can increase the strength a bit. That was too much. Let's stay with what it was. Okay, so it's quite alright. So we have a shaded finger. Shade might be too dark, I believe, but should be okay. Let's see how it will look when it's flat. Let's brush the material. Yeah, it looks alright. It really looks good. I believe we could add some shade here as well. And for this I would like to have some mesh visible again, so let's go to the texture, text draw, which is the default we should be using. Make sure we are using the proper color. Reduce size for more detail. And I say it's hard to draw with the mouse only, so excuses. I know I'm full of excuses, but who cares? Not like many of you watch this anyway. Basically doing this for myself. Okay, so let's do the smear, and let's just smear it all over this place to make it nicely go into the holes between the fingers. We can also smooth it out this way. Yeah, it's not perfect, but let's preview it in the material mode. Yeah, it for sure requires some fixing. And almost done. Okay, so this will be alright. We don't have to spend whole day improving on a little shadow like this. What's fun is that Blender drew it all on the texture. Can you imagine doing this by hand, knowing where to do it? Impossible, or at least very difficult. Blender did this for us. Perfect. So that's our finger at this moment. I'm not sure if you did this when you were kids, but I used to draw faces on my finger with a pen, so I believe I can do this here as well to add some character to our little finger. We are going to select the texture paint again, the texture draw. Yep, black color will be fine. Strength, let's say how much strength could we use, and if there's anything else. Let's say 50%. No, that's too black. Because it didn't 05, not 50%, but 05, pardon me. That should be half. Okay, that should be alright. So what do we want to have? I want to have a gentleman finger, right? So let's see. Let's find some straight position for him. And now drew eyes. It's not like a... Okay, we have eye. As I said, a gentleman, so he will wear a monocle. Perfect. Obviously, eyeballs. Some classy hat, because he's a classy finger. Mustache. Every classy person must have a mustache. Okay, a bit dumb smile. What a nice looking finger. And last but not least, an umbrella. I was tempted to draw it over here because I'm left-handed, but let's do something for the right handlers and go to the stroke line, and now we will be able to draw something like this. Okay, let's stop for a moment, and before we do this, let's do the space, which is default. Drew hands. Okay, that's almost what we want. And now the line. An umbrella, as I said. I see the lines going into each other nicely, so we're going. Not as nicely, but I guess you could select darker black with bigger fill, so it wouldn't be doing this kind of black lines touching each other. Oh well, this is simple tutorial for simple things. It should be alright. Let's not be lazy and draw it using the space. Perfect. So that would be it. That's our finger done. Hope you enjoyed the tutorial. If you did, leave a like, comment below, maybe subscribe. I have like 3 subscribers, out of which one is I'm pretty sure random person. So thanks again, and see ya in the future tutorials. Don't go yet, guys. Totally forgot. Let's draw blood, because it's a finger. I believe he should be red over here, which basically might be an idea for another tutorial in which I will show you how to add particle systems to our model. Time will show. Basically I'm going to draw a bit of red at the end, just for added gore. Let's make it nice and gory. No, there's nothing better than a shock factor when you're trying to impress your friend with the awesome handmade avatar, and that would be perfect. Okay, so next step would be to export it, just as we did so many times before, into the Unity, set up the animations, and replace the texture. I will show you how it's done in just a moment. What we need to do now is to export the geometry and the texture. Don't forget about the texture. Let's save, just in case. Go into the object mode, select both bones and the geometry. Make sure the armature is on again. Select bones, select finger, file, export FBX. Just like we did it before, you can see that my name has increased quite a bit. Make sure you have selected objects pressed and export. Now let's save the texture. Image, save as image, and pinky finger, JPG, save. We have it saved. Now we will go to Unity and re-import everything. Let's import our assets into the Unity. Let's hide let's leave it be for a moment. Create new folder. Let's call it finger final and move it to the hierarchy, because for whatever reason it ended up inside some other model. Now let's do everything we did before to bind the geometry. So we have to import the model. Let's find where we have it. Here we have both texture and geometry. Let's import it. Let's see if the finger, yes, scale fits. You can see geometry is just fine. Let's place it at 0.000 and hide the old finger because it won't be needed anymore. And let's move the texture. Let's add the material because it doesn't have any. And we have to make a new material. Oh no, it does have a material. Okay, let's find the, yes, that's the material. Let's expand it. There's the albedo, which is the place we should apply our texture to. Yep, that's our finger. I'm not sure how this will work inside Unity, inside VRChat, because I had no time to test it out yet, but hopefully it will work. Let's select unlit, texture, and here we go. That is our finger. Next step should be applying the animation, so I will do this now. You should know how to do it from previous movies, so let's meet after it's done. Okay, so I did set up the animation. There wasn't much work for me to do because I already had the avatar controller from the previous versions. So should you, so it should be quite easy for you to do. I did set the view position to be behind the finger around this point, and I believe we are ready to export our little creation into the game and see how it actually works. And here we are inside the avatar testing room, and we can see that our finger looks just fancy. So we have the animation, the drawing on the face. There's a little line on the left side of it, but it should be easy to draw and fix outside of Unity using any 2D drawing application and then re-exporting to the Unity. But it does look fancy. Aren't we a gentle finger, right? Okay, so once again, thank you guys for following. Hope you learned something and had fun and used the knowledge to make another great avatars. So see you all in the VRChat. Ta-ta!